Everybody, welcome to this first edition of Snow Talk for the winter season here of 2015-16. As a reminder, it will always be titled Snow Talk, even though there probably will not be a period. There will be periods. There will be no snow in the foreseeable 14-day period, which is a period I'm still going to try to aim at sticking to. Will be a 14-day period. As you see there at the bottom, we always will keep a running total of how we stand for the snowfall for the season. Where do we stand compared to normal to date, and then how did we stand last year to date? And we're already behind on both of those. Already. We had a trace of snow on Halloween last year, and then normally we would pick up about a tenth of an inch of snow by this date, but as you can see there, we have nothing to talk about. Now, a new feature that will kick off Snow Talk each and every day will be the number of systems that we're watching that are systems of interest. And the blog will go into more detail, obviously, of what those are. And right now, there is one system of interest that may not exactly be a snow producer, but it is a significant one for what could happen toward Thanksgiving, which is a period that I'm watching closely. But before we get to that, we've got to cover, of course, some of the weather here this week. And today, it was nice to get some sunshine in here. We had some fog around this morning. Showers holding tough in southeast Kentucky. In fact, a lot of clouds have been holding tough. We're up to 71. We'll climb another degree or two, and it will be warmer tomorrow because of the winds. Today, the winds are mainly out of the northeast. That's a cooling wind for us. Tomorrow, they turn more out of the south, and that will allow us to really see a pretty good jump in the numbers. But it's not all peaches and cream. It's the best I can think of when we come into a south wind this week, because this area of low pressure, remember the front that came through, and then we had the low that moved through Sunday into today, tracked to our south. If you remember when we did the blog last week, was our debate of how close it would track to Kentucky, and it ended up tracking mainly for the Carolinas, as we were hinting at. It was mainly a Carolina event. Now, the problem is this low is going to slow down and pretty much get cut off from the main flow. So it's going to keep pumping in that south wind into the Ohio Valley, but it's also, since it's sitting where it is into the Carolinas, it's going to take the Gulf moisture, or the Atlantic moisture, and get fed into the system, and also send that to the north, which will increase cloud cover at times, and it could even give us a few spotty rain showers. That has nothing to do with the front that's coming in later this week. They were watching way out here to the west. There'll be a player for us for Friday, it looks like. So this is going to be a separate event the next few days, and that will play havoc on our forecast highs. Last week we were putting in an 80-degree high into our 7-day. But it was mainly because this low was forecast at the time to be more progressive, allowing us to get a south wind and allow for a good warm-up. But with the low stalling now over the Carolinas and increased moisture being left around and at times cloudy, maybe a spotty shower, especially Wednesday, we have to go lower than 80. So no records expected this week, but it's not going to be far from record territory, which is impressive. Get to mention for the first week of November. So here's Futurecast. Tonight, the model's taking us to the 40s in some areas. I think here in the city will bounce out very close to 50. And then tomorrow, if there's going to be a day we have a chance to get awful close to 80, it will be tomorrow with that south wind. I don't think we're going to have a whole lot of cloud cover just yet on Tuesday. So we're going to go mainly sunny. Those of you to the south, more clouds, and those of you in Indiana. Models right now are saying 75. We're going to push it a couple degrees warmer than that with that south wind adjustment. But then as we head into Wednesday, you see the influence of that south flow here. I mean, yeah, it's a good south flow, but again, it adds moisture from the Atlantic being thrown at us in cloud cover, so it's going to be a struggle to get as warm as Tuesday. We could get it. If we stay dry, I wouldn't be surprised. We've only taken a couple hours of sun mixed in with these clouds to get us to about that 77-degree range, but we'll probably go a degree or two cooler for Wednesday as a result. Then when the front arrives, here's the Euro that just came in. Love the model runs coming in earlier now with DST over with. Looks like it's going to be Thursday night into Friday. The timing for that is not overly conducive for anything severe, which is good. But some lightning and thunder could certainly accompany the front, and we'll keep an eye on the timing of that. If it's a slower timing and arrives during Friday afternoon, that could increase the potential for maybe some gustier storms to roll through here. But at this point, I don't see it being anything significant. Now, behind it, you see the cold push of air that's really showing up behind this system. That's a lot of debate for the weekend. This is the models. And again, the Euro just came in, so this image is actually a little further to the north now for the 12Z, and I don't have the ensemble yet. So the Euro data is not completely up to date, but I have at least looked at it, and it's not too far off. But when you look at the GFS, it has a cold shot of air Sunday, mainly Saturday into Sunday, I would say. Canadian goes really well with it, even hints at the potential for some rain and snow showers, even in wave country. And the ensemble is a little aggressive, but the Canadian, again, has a tendency to be really aggressive with scenarios. So right now, we are not giving credits to it. I'm a snow lover, guys, I get it. But it just doesn't make sense with the pattern the way it is. This looks to be a very progressive cold shot. And the reason why, the indices say that. Again, most of the time, too, keep in mind, the weather pattern drives these indices. But when you've got a positive AO, Arctic Oscillation, showing up in the GFS and on the Euro as well, the NAO is mainly positive, and you've got a negative PNA, that all screams more of a ridging in the southeast and progressiveness, so it doesn't, to me, scream what the Canadian is showing. So right now, the Canadian's not in our realm of thought when it comes to putting together the 7-day. And now, if we see these indices adjust and change, obviously we will too, but right now, it just doesn't make sense to me. All right, so then we get into, this is about the 12th of November. And the GFS is real aggressive with this, but the Euro is coming on board with a pretty impressive system, and it's much further to the south with this low. Now, what I think is going to happen is we're going to see stronger areas of low pressure developing with such an unusual warm pattern here in the east part of the country. We're going to see some impressive low pressure, so we could begin to enter our second severe weather season. We really didn't have a first last spring, but we could see our typical second one developing in the next couple of weeks for the eastern half of the country. It may not be locally in Kentucky, but it's going to be awful close to us in the southeast corner of the country. Now, the cold air is typically going to do what we see a lot in this time of year, and I think it's going to be a step-down process. We're going to have a couple of systems going to get the cold air to work its way in. Now, we did have measurable snow mid-November last year. We had 3 inches, in fact. That is unusual to see that much that early. This system, I don't think it's going to be one that could do it, but it could be one, and this is the system of interest, that could be the beginning of a step-down process that will lead us closer to Thanksgiving that could be a little more interesting. So it is something to watch down the road. And I don't have a lot of the data yet on that system. Again, the Euro didn't update in time for me to show this, but as we head into about the 12th or so, you see the European, once it goes by, or I'm sorry, here's the GFS. The GFS is real aggressive for that cold shot diving in, and the ensemble's kind of confused, but it hints at it. But if you look at the ensembles, at least, I did have that data available, and they show a trough, but nothing aggressive or crazy like the GFS is showing. So the GFS, I think, is close to the idea. I think it's jumping the gun. I think that the idea is going to be a step-down process, and it may take a couple storms to get us there. But I do think the system on the 12th could be a significant one regardless. Whether it's a cold significant or a warm significant, I think it could be a significant system. So it is something to watch as we head toward, say, the 12th and 15th, or the middle of November. So we will keep an eye on it. All right, guys, that is it for now. We'll keep it, I was going to try to keep it short, but it went almost 8 minutes. But that's just, at least the first Snow Talk edition here. I mean, you should be surprised. We don't have anything to track yet. It's early. But at least the ball is now rolling. All right, don't forget our hashtags. Bots, bring on the snow, in case you didn't know that's what it stood for. And then hashtag Wave 3 Snow as we get into the season. Use those hashtags. It really helps me out in seeing your reports once we get into the heart of the season itself. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you on the news tonight.